الحمد للإله سابغ النعم وخالق الإنسان من بعد العدم، فالحمد ثم الحمد ثم الحمد لك حمدا كثيرا طيبا يا رب لك. أعطيتنا خيرا كثيرا ربنا، سترت عن كل الورى عيوبنا، ثم الصلاة بعد والتسليم على النبي المصطفى الكريم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am in the city of Beijing, in the Muslim quarters of the city of Beijing. The majority of people who live in this vicinity are Muslim. Obviously the majority, there are still people of other faiths and ethnicities here. And the restaurants all around us are halal restaurants with halal food. You could probably hear me munching on something right now. We are standing in front of the Niujie Masjid. And this is the oldest and the largest masjid in the city of Beijing. And it was built in the year 390 roughly of the Hijrah, so that is 1,100 years old. Now obviously the current structure is not 1,100 years old. Current structure is probably around 400 years old, but the location of the mosque is the same location that has been here since the beginning of its construction over 1,100 years ago. What you are seeing here, this is the Halal moon sighting tower of Beijing. This is the Halal moon sighting tower of Beijing. For the Muslims, for over 1,000 years, they would climb to the very top to sight the Halal for Shawwal and the Halal for, of course, the month of Ramadan and Sha'ban, and obviously the Halal of the Dhul Hijjah for Hajj. And it was in use up until I think the 1950s was what I understand. But it was something that the Muslims of Beijing, they would declare their Eid, and they would declare the months from observing the Hilal from that tower over here. We're currently outside of the complex. I'm going to walk in. This is, I think, going to be a relatively long video, so bear with me, and inshallah it'll be posted. So for those that are not watching live, they can watch inshallah ta'ala when I post it. This is the entrance of the masjid. Welcome to the Niujie Masjid. Now, the Niujie Masjid, it is actually translates as the place of the oxen. And the reason why it is called the place of the oxen is because the halal market was around here back in the day, 1,000 years ago, and the Muslims ate ox as their primary meat. And so it was called the place of the oxen because that's where ox meat would be sold. And we walked around, and actually I saw different types of meat, halal duck and halal chicken, and all different types of animals being sold still to this day. So this masjid is the oxen masjid because of the location of the halal meat shops here. We're walking now past what is the wudu area. This is the wudu area that has been converted obviously to the wudu area, and I'm going to take you firstly to an interesting place. There's an outside location of the graves of certain people, and then I will take you inside, so bear with me inshallah ta'ala. We're going to keep the masjid area to the end. This is the masjid area over there. We're going to keep that to the end. All of this is the Imam Headquarters, so wherever there's the Imams, they live within the masjid complex. So there's an Imam Dormitory, you can see over there if you can read, Imam Dormitory. So this is where the Imams live. And we just had a conversation with their main Imam. He very graciously came outside and spent time with us and explained to us some of the peculiarities. So one of the aspects of this community of Muslims is that the imams that are employed by the government have only trained locally. By and large, it is very rare to find a foreign trained imam. Somebody graduated from Al-Azhar or Medina. Generally speaking, they do not employ them. These are the government madrasas, so the curriculum is very different. And the imam, even though he is the main imam of the main mosque of Beijing, still he could not speak Arabic with me except very broken. And I asked him if he's a hafid or not, and he said no, they only memorize 4 juz in this particular madrasa. This is the government madrasa. The madrasa has been controlled by the government, so they graduate from this madrasa and then they are employed by the government to give the services here. So obviously, as you all understand, I cannot be too explicit, but this country controls aspects that are not controlled in other countries. Just leave it at that for now, but I hope you will understand what I am saying. This is a map of the masjid. I'm going to just pause over here, go over this slowly so that you get an idea of how large. This is a massive complex. I do not have time in this video to go over this entire region. What we will do, right now we are at the men's ablution chamber and the Imam Dormitory, and we just are passing the boiler room. I will then show you the Sheikh's tombs, and then we will go to the worship hall. I've already showed you the Moon Observatory Tower. I've already showed you that. We will go back in from the Sheikh's tombs, and then we'll go to the minaret, and then inside the original worship hall. That's what we're going to do. We will not be able to see the other locations of the mosque because time is limited. What I've really found intriguing, it really moved me immensely. I know nothing about these two men as of yet. I will hope to look up. I'm going to do my research when I get back home. I don't know anything about these two men, and yet my heart is full of love and admiration and honor, because this Shaykh Ali ibn al-Qadhi Imad al-Din al-Bukhari and Shaykh Ahmed al-Birtani al-Qazwini, we learned that these two people traveled from their lands of Bukhara and from their lands of Qazwin over 600 years ago. They came here, 800 years ago, excuse me. They came here 800 years ago from their lands as scholars, and they came to teach the Muslims of this region their religion. Their purpose for leaving their lands and their homes was to teach the Muslims of Beijing, of China, and they spent their lives teaching the Muslims, and they died over here, and ever since that point in time they have been buried. And you see the original tombstones over here as well. And subhanAllah, it really moved me that ulama, this is what you call real jihad. This is what you call people sacrificing everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to this day, I know nothing about them. I don't even know, anything about their backgrounds, and yet my heart is full of admiration and awe and love. And I ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses these people with Jannatul Firdaus for their sacrifice, for having come so far to this furthest regions of the world in order to teach the people their religion. And it is perhaps because of efforts like these that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed the Muslims of these lands to be able to survive for so long, relatively cut off from the rest of the world. And I'll speak about that in another video in the future, inshallah, about how Muslims of China are somewhat different in some aspects. So here we find the main pavilion, and as I mentioned in my previous video, we find this is Chinese, this is the minaret of the Chinese mosque. The adhan was given for 1,000 years from this location. More than 1,000 years actually, 1,250 years. The adhan was given from this location. Look at it. Us as American eyes, as Western eyes, I look at this and I think, oh, this is Chinese, this is a pagoda. And yet, this is the Muslim minaret. And I don't recognize it as a minaret, but the Chinese Muslims saw this and they knew this is the minaret. This is what would have been one of the largest structures 1,000 years ago. This is around 40, 50 feet high. So in that time, there was really only one-story buildings. So this would be the icon of the masjid. And this is where they would give the adhan from. And climb up, of course, 5 times a day to hear the name of Allah and to mention the kalima being said loudly for all of the Muslims of this region to hear. And this is the, we cannot go up obviously inside that, it is blocked. Here again we have some of the ancient structures and architecture. This is now a meeting hall. And I want you to see, this was built in 1442. This was built 700 years ago, and it was used to teach ilm and to have classes. It is now a reception room and it is used for visiting dignitaries, but this was a mini madrasa where students would memorize the Quran, they would learn the basics of Islamic law, and they would basically become people acquainted with their religion. Here again, this is just a simple example of the amalgamation of Islam with Islamic, Chinese motifs and symbols. You see, this is the Sino-Arabic script, as I mentioned. There's different types of script. There's Moroccan script, there's Kufic script. There's a script called Sino-Arabic, right? And this is the, you see a Chinese-esque, if you like, calligraphy, and yet it is Arabic. And that's what I mentioned. The local people, they make their own culture and civilization, and they merge it with the religion of Islam and their own civilization to produce something as beautiful, as gorgeous, as exquisite as this. I have never in my life seen this type of architecture in a mosque, because obviously this is a Chinese mosque, so what do you expect? Alhamdulillah. So it's a very, very beautiful structure with intricate designs. Look at the bright colors, look at the motifs and designs. Here we have the plaque of one of the emperors I wouldn't be able to pronounce his name, I'm sorry. 600 years ago, one of the emperors, he visited the mosque and he put a plaque here. Now obviously the emperor is not a Muslim, so the plaque has, you know, designs that are obviously not fully Islamic, but the emperor visited the mosque and he basically declared the mosque to be a sacred ground, you know, for the Muslims. So it is something that he gifted, if you like. Well, not quite gifted, it was already there. This is the sundial that they would use to look at the timings of the salah. And if you'll notice carefully, you will find the Chinese characters. So the Muslims of old would actually use this sundial to calculate the timings of the salah. Here we have another plaque that was given by one of the emperors, 1496. It was gifted to the mosque. So the emperors would visit this mosque. This is a plaque inside the mosque. And I cannot obviously decipher anything on this plaque. It is written in Chinese, but it is, if you can look, I don't know if you're able to see or not, you can see the Chinese characters here. And it is a plaque that once again is a commemoration for one of the dignitaries, one of the emperors visiting this mosque. Let me try to see if I can show you. So this is the Chinese characters that are showing the message of the emperor to the Chinese Muslims of Beijing, where he's appreciating their efforts and he's basically allowing them permission, or basically commemorating his visit to the mosque. I'm now going to enter the original mosque. This is again just another plaque. So there's this mosque is surrounded by plaques of various emperors. This is another plaque over here. You see, of course, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah over there. And this is another plaque. We're now going to enter the actual mosque structure. It's a little bit dark, so I hope that my iPhone is able to adjust, inshallah ta'ala. Bismillah ar-Rahim. Okay, Bismillah, let us see. So this is the actual masjid structure. I do not read Chinese. I have no idea what this says. If any of my followers knows and can decipher, please post the meaning of this. I'm going to lower my voice because I'm in the masjid now. Look, the masjid ornaments and the masjid lights. Look, if you go to Saudi Arabia, you see different Arab structures. You go to Turkey, you see Turkish. Now you go to China and you see the Chinese, you know, lanterns hanging from here. What else do you expect, brothers and sisters? That's the whole point, again, from my video yesterday or 2 days ago. We would expect the Muslims of each land and region to adapt their culture to this religion of Islam. This is a magnificent, beautiful facility. The colors are just striking. I don't know if I'm able to capture this on the iPhone, but just the exoticness of the colors, the turquoise, the blue, the green, the red. I have never in my life seen a masjid as ornate and as beautiful as this masjid in its own way. Obviously, beautiful masjids around the world, but I have to say this is a unique, absolutely unique masjid. The ayat of the Quran, I spent a while deciphering them, and we saw Surah Al-Rahman over there, Surah Al-Fatah over there, and so this is a script that is going to be relatively old. I'm going to go up to the mihrab as well to show you the original script. I want to see if there are some of our Chinese Muslims here right now. قال الله تعالى إن الله لا يضيع أجر المحسنين. So you know, you even find in different cultures, they take certain verses and they take them as motifs. So if you go to Andalus, for example, they have a phrase لا غالب إلا الله, and you see it everywhere. And I found this phrase in multiple places here in China amongst the Muslims. إن الله لا يضيع أجر المحسنين. And that is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not go to waste the efforts of those who are righteous. And I found this to be a common motif or a common ayah in many of the places in China. And here we have, again, this is a beautiful example of the merging of the Sino-Arabic, the Chinese Arabic, civilization and culture. Here, let me see if I can. Okay, let us now go to the original mihrab. Unfortunately, we don't have a tour guide over here that can tell us the details. You understand the country that we're in. They don't really have a professional tour guide. Our tour guide is a non-Muslim. He stopped outside the mosque and he allowed us to come in. And now we're just seeing this all on our own. This is the original mihrab. I spent a while, I have to be honest with you, it took me like 5 minutes or so to decipher. So I'm not going to pretend I'm just doing this on the spur. Please don't assume that of me. However, I did spend before I did the video. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. إنا فتحنا لك فتحا مبينا ليغفر لك الله ما تقدم من ذنبك وما تأخر ويتم نعمته عليك ويهديك صراطا مستقيما وينصرك الله نصرا عزيزا هو الذي أنزل السكينة في قلوب المؤمنين ليزدادوا إيمانا مع إيمانهم. And the verses go on of Surah Al-Fatah. So this is Surah Al-Fatah written in the calligraphy, as I said. There was probably calligraphy over there, but it is now smudged out. So this is the original or the ancient. Again, I don't know how old this is. I would guesstimate 800 years old, 700 years old, but I'm not sure. Our guide is a non-Muslim and he does not know the details of the inner workings of the mosque. This is simply an ancient mosque. Yes, I'm looking at that one as well. The structures over there in the middle. You see some type of calligraphy. That's not even calligraphy. You see some type of dragons, Allahu A'lam, or dragon-esque figures. So we see over here again, I don't know if you can read that over there, Bismillah. Now we were gonna continue backing out of the mosque. Here is the view from the mihrab. These are all members of our group. Salat al-Dhuhr is in around 45 minutes, so we don't have any Chinese Muslims. Now we met some Chinese Muslims outside. We could not communicate with them because they don't speak Arabic or English, and we obviously do not speak their language. We found one translator, so we spoke a little bit with them. We asked the Imam that is his khutbah censored or not, and he told us that he writes his own khutbah. And he's allowed to say whatever he wants. That is what he said. We know that he can only say things that are spiritual in nature, nothing beyond that. He cannot go beyond a red line, if you like. And we'll leave it at that, because even I am not supposed to be doing this, but it's just simply too beautiful, not to do. Okay, so this is again some of the Sino-Arabic designs over here. So inshallah with this, I'm going to call this video a wrap. This is the view from when you enter, and I'm going to inshallah ta'ala call it an end over here and then continue tomorrow or today. We're going to the city of Xi'an, which has one of the oldest mosques in China. So we're going to be going to that masjid, and I'll be doing another video from there. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of us. Oh, hold on a sec, there's a beautiful calligraphy over here. Let me just show this to you as well. Here we have again various aspects of calligraphy. Because I'm doing the video right now, I'm not going to be able to decipher what is written on it. In any case, so inshallah, this is enough from me. I'm trying to see if there's anything I forgot in this. Oh yes, okay, yes. One thing. This is what I wanted to say. Look at these designs. I have never in my life seen a masjid that has paintings of trees or decorations of vases on the walls. Look at that, right? This is the first time that I'm seeing something like this, and that's, of course, it's allowed, but it's something that is unique. We don't find anything like this in any other mosque that I have seen. These are just symbols and decorations. They would have been common in other Chinese structures. Here in the mosques, they have taken those and they have adapted them over here as well. So we see, for example, if you can see that design, and it's something that you typically don't find in other mosque communities. So inshallah with that, I will call this video a wrap, and inshallah we'll continue from the city of Xi'an, from one of the oldest mosques. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and me and all of us to do that which is pleasing to him. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
عليك الله يا خير الورى تعداد حبات الرمال وأكثرا صلى عليك الله ما غيث هما فوق السهول وبالجبال وبالقرى فوق السهول وبالجبال وبالقرى.